I just knew there was something more. And so that's one of the reasons I did. Just a voice inside me said, go for it. What's the worst that can happen, you know?
Welcome to the Life in Paradise podcast, the show about creating a life you never need a vacation from. You'll gain inspiration from those who have done it before as we share experiences, strategies, and offer practical steps you can take to live your dream life in paradise. With your host, attorney turned alchemist, Dawn Fleming.
Welcome to the August episode of Taking Command with Captain Tom. Our topic for this month is what's next? Not this. And I asked Tom to share a little bit about his major career change that he made. That was pretty significant.
Hello, everybody. Captain Tom here. Don asked me to speak a little bit about one of my career changes, and so a little bit on it. I went to college. I was a physics major. And when I got out of college, I went at a time my dad was an aerospace physicist, and he was threatened to get laid off. So it was not a good time to go look for a job in that industry. So I moved up to Washington State and was up there, and my wife's uncle was a foreman at the power company in town. So after a year or so, he got me a job doing, starting out as an apprentice and working my way up in the line, in being a lineman. So
you were a lumberjack along the way too.
Well, yeah. Well, when you first started out, when you start in the labor crew and you fall trees and you're a lumberjack, and then you prove yourself there, and then you start driving a bucket truck, and you work your way up. So what happened was, when I was about 35 years old, I was up there. I had a couple of life-changing situations. I went through a divorce up there, and you kind of start reevaluating your life. And I was 35 years old, and so one of the things I said to myself is that in the mirror is that if you did 30 years with the power company and retired, would that be enough? Would you have had the life you wanted? And my answer was no. And so what happened was the not this is I had to start reevaluating what I wanted to do in my life, and so I made a decision. I quit I gave everybody notice that I was going to quit and move back down south to California from Washington. And, well, what are you going to do down there? They say, well, not this. And
you weren't sure.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
It wasn't like you left that into some other great opportunity that was waiting for you, right?
No, but I said, I'm not sure. But they thought it was crazy because it was a union job, had good pay and great benefits, and it was one of the most in-demand jobs in the area in Pierce County where we lived. And so it was you take a leap. My pickup truck and towing my car and my tools and stuff, and I drove 1,200 miles south. I was able to live with my folks for a little while. They had a spare bedroom, and the dad needed some help with some landscaping and a bunch of stuff. So I worked with him on the weekends and stuff. But I went down there and I got a job. I had a car repair business on the side up in Washington, and so I got a job as a mechanic, and so I did that for a couple of years. And here we go. It was like, no, I don't want, I'm wasting my talents, not this. And so my dad was kind of giving me a little bit of a bad time. He was retired by then, but I was wasting my God-given talent. So he said, I'll help mentor you. And so I started in my garage. My brother sold video products to governments. And so he says, hey, you want to bid on a contract the government contract. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And so that's how it kind of organically grew, and it grew and grew and grew, and it became a very successful company. I started my garage, and then I ended up hiring employees and getting an industrial building and working my way up from there to where it was extremely to me, it was very successful what I did, and
Well, hold on to that for just a moment.
Okay.
I don't want you to give away the end of the movie just yet.
Okay.
But can we talk a little bit about, folks that might be in a similar situation, like, oh my gosh, maybe you're a professional, or, you've got great pay, you've got great benefits, but you're just kind of not really dying inside. I mean, you were only 35 years old, but you did take stock at that point in your life and said, is this really what I want? Does this light me up? Does this make me happy? Am I going to be happy on my deathbed?
Yes, that's right.
Right. And not look back and think, what if?
Yeah.
And you said no. The answer was a resounding no. And, what advice would you give to someone who's maybe in that situation and they're really questioning, is this really what I should be hanging on to? Or what would you say?
You have to keep an open mind about it. And you may have to, there's people, I went back to down south and got a job, but I wasn't making great money, but it wasn't in my field. It was in my hobby. So sometimes you have your hobby, and sometimes what your schooling is. And sometimes people get out of college and they can't find a job in their field right away, and they take another job to get by. And then you look back at it, and some people do 30 years in a field that they weren't even educated in. But I just was a situation that I just knew there was something more. And so that's one of the reasons I did. Just a voice inside me said, go for it. What's the worst that can happen,
Right. You go back to being an auto mechanic, or probably could go get a job as a lineman somewhere else.
Or electrician or something.
Electrician, or do something else.
Okay. So another thing that happened was I always kept my options open. So I had an amazing career.
We'll be back in a moment.
Isla Mujeres is a Caribbean jewel off the coast of Cancun. Castilito del Caribe warmly invites you to enjoy our spectacular oceanfront villa located in the heart of El Centro and a short walk to Playa Norte, which is ranked one of the top 10 beaches in the world. With an ocean view of crystal clear turquoise waters overlooking both the Caribbean and Cancun city skyline, we offer a fabulous location for you to enjoy all the peace and tranquility you're looking for on vacation, while also taking in all the excitement the island has to offer, with activities either in walking distance or a golf cart day excursion away. Please visit CastilitoCaribe.com, www.CastilitoCaribe.com. We look forward to seeing you soon.
I'm so happy to have you with me for the Life in Paradise podcast. I love our listeners and fans, and we'd love to show our appreciation for you supporting the show. So please head over to lifeinparadisepodcast.com, where you can find free resources mentioned in the show, and also register for our gifts, prizes, and swag. I'd also love to hear from you, so there's a place on that page to submit your questions, comments, and requests, so I can serve you better. And if I answer your question on the show, we'll send you a free gift.
So anyway, this career went on to where I designed cameras for the space shuttle, for Port of LA, for all sorts of things. These government contracts that I did, and it was really cool. I actually did the cameras that guard the airspace over the White House, designed them. I was working with MIT on it. And it was kind of a funny little, not a joke, but everybody would say, well, who are you going to get to do this? And then the camera manufacturers say, well, we know this guy. There's this guy out there to do that. And I actually put a camera on the space shuttle, contracted through a company you might have heard of called Kodak. That's the kind of thing. This Kodak hired this guy to regularize a camera for a space shuttle experiment. So yeah, it was. I look back on it, and it was a very exciting career. But in 2008, all the government contracts started getting pushed out to the right because of funding, and so my three biggest customers, the U.S. government, the Spanish government, and the Colombian government, stopped calling. So what's kind of a funny story is that there was no more work. I still had enough work for myself, but my company was no more. It was just me again because of a few issues. But so she says, "Well, let's take a break, and if we're not going to work, we can not going to work anywhere. We might as well not work in Florida."
Well, that was kind of the joke before we left California. If we're not going to work, it's cheaper to not work in Florida than it is to not work in California. And neither one of us, both of our businesses had dried up at that point after the financial crash. Yeah. But and then the funny story about one of his projects that he worked on, he did a lot of prototypes. So he would be the guy that could be nimble and put things together quickly. And then you did a little project for this company called Boeing. And it was funny. He would oftentimes do the prototypes, right? And it would be 18 months, 2 years down the road before they might call back, and maybe they'll be follow-on orders or maybe not. But the prototype that he had developed for that particular project hadn't heard anything in about that amount of time, right?
And the contract, the prime contract, Boeing was a prime, and then one of the subs was another company that I was pretty heavily involved with. And hey, have you heard anything more about this project? No, I heard anything more about this project? No,
nobody had any answers.
Nobody
right?
answers. And you want me to tell?
Go ahead.
Okay. And so we heard about it on 60 Minutes. Like, oh my God. This Sunday on 60 Minutes, they're going to talk about this initiative. And
the Boeing project that's over budget and hasn't delivered and all that. And the project ended up getting shut down really due to mismanagement. Yeah. Because they just had spent all this money developing it was the Southern Border Initiative project. And we heard about it on the news. So that was kind of the nail in the coffin for that.
So I thought that
was right before we left, as I recall. Yeah. It was close to.
So what was kind of funny is that sometimes life throws you curveballs, and you have to deal with them. But so anyway, we sailed around. We were 6 months at sea?
Yeah,
like 6 months at sea. My wife and I on a 50-foot sailboat. And the time we got to Florida, we made arrangements for a liveaboard marina, and we pulled into the slip. And I says, "Wow, I gotta go do something." I'm not that I love my wife, but 6 months, 24/7.
I think I'm gonna go get a job at Home Depot.
Yeah, something. I'm gonna just go get something. And so it was kind of a funny story. The next, I just pulled up the dock and was there for maybe a couple hours,
a day,
and then the guy that lived next door in a houseboat came home from work with his hard hat on, and I introduced myself. And I says, "Donnie, what do you do?" He says, I work at the ship. I'm an electrician at the shipyard." "There's a shipyard in town? I didn't know this. Are they hiring?" Ha, ha, ha. And he says, "Yeah, they're looking for electrical engineers." And I says, "That's what I am." And he says, "Okay, cool. Well, my brother-in-law is the superintendent of the electrical department of the shipyard. And so he'll come over tomorrow, and over beers in the cockpit of the boat, he'll interview you." And then I had to get other interviews. But anyway, I got a job designing ships. I had never had my experience with the line work, which was a lot of ships, is a lot of high voltages and stuff. But
you were a sailor.
And I was a sailor, and I was on ships. But anyway, it was just, And they said, okay, well, you're going to start over here. Here's your hard hat. And you don't know enough about shipboard power systems. So here's your hard hat. And there's your crew of 8 guys. And you're going to start designing tugboats over there's 90-foot tugboats. And kind of like, go get them, big fella.
Yeah, very little training. But it turned out to be another career
that
allowed you to do some really amazing things.
Yeah, I designed 3 different ships in the course of 2.5 years. I did all the electrical design, and then they would build ongoing ones after that. We would design the first one and get it approved by the Coast Guard and the American Bureau of Shipping and stuff like that, and then the sea trials, and then we'd build future ones. And so when my wife on another company was making more money than I was and wanted to move to a warmer climate farther south, I retired, and they were pretty upset about me retiring. But anyway, to completely change course, well, I'd not completely changed course, but to have the confidence, once you've done it a couple of times, it becomes easier to do that. And so when we decided to leave Florida and build a business down in Mexico and Cielo, once you've done it a couple of times, you kind of say, yeah, I can do this. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst thing? Well, yeah, it's nothing.
Then you go back to your old life, right?
Yeah,
and you backtrack a little bit, or not, or maybe you do something completely different,
and
or something the same, like being an auto mechanic. I mean, there's lots of options,
and we're looking at maybe doing something different coming up here.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. We've got lots of different options. And so kind of going back to the theme from last month, which was the freedom from fear.
Yeah.
Let go of the fear, trust that you're going to be protected. We talked about that as well. And move forward and don't wait until you're on your deathbed, right? And think, what if?
Yeah, what if? And the other thing that I want to just add real quickly is that to be able to do all these different things, you really need your health. Oh. And I've been very blessed about having good health where I could work on ships and do this in the hot weather, the cold weather, all that stuff. I guess I was blessed with good health. And so... Well,
it didn't happen by accident.
No.
We're very proactive.
Yeah, but we take care of our health because if you don't have good health, it limits your options. Yeah. So
good. I'm glad you added that. That's
because that is important. I just had a little health challenge just very recently, and we'll go talk about that another. But that was the first time in 71 years that I had to spend a night in the hospital. But and really knock on wood that I was very blessed to have good health all these years and stuff. So yeah. But anything?
Nope. I think that's great.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
Thanks for tuning in to the Life in Paradise podcast. Did you love this episode? If so, we'd love for you to follow, rate, and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We invite you to tune in every week for more inspired insights and wisdom to create your Somebody Pinch Me reality. And until next time, dream big and act on it daily.